Welcome back to the Dynasty Lunch Break. I am your host, Garrett Price. And man, we are getting closer and closer to the regular season. I'm getting to that point. I think I get to this point almost every year where the anticipation just starts to eat at me, where I constantly catch myself thinking about, wonder who's going to break out week one. I wonder, like, all of these types of thoughts start to get in my head, and it starts to consume my thoughts. And that's basically where we're at in the year, where we're so close that we can taste it, but we're not quite there yet. So we are getting closer and closer to that start. Yes, we just got back from the Fantasy Football Expo as well. Had an awesome weekend. Canton, Ohio, hanging out with everybody. There's plenty of you guys that I got to meet as well. So a fantastic time there. And let's get into what we're going to be doing today. Of course, we are going to be answering your questions. So if you have any questions, trade questions, anything like that, happy to do that. Answer those in the chat. But even more so, today's trivia day. Yes, I like to play little games on the show. I like to do a lot of interaction with you guys, get a chance to hear from you. So we're going to be doing some trivia today. So I have 10 questions that I've prepared. They're pretty tricky overall. They're not super easy. There's a couple of them that I think you guys will get decently easy, but there's a lot of these that are pretty tough. So curious to see how everyone does. So if you're here, let me know how you're doing today. And let's just start off with a fun little question. Which player is going to break out in 2024? So this is an opinion question. I mean, somebody's going to be right, so eventually it'll be fact. But what player is going to break out in 2024? So let's get into as well, while you guys are getting in here, getting all nestled in, grabbing your lunch, sitting down to hang out with me. Let's get into our first couple questions here. Reminder, just the opening question for fun. This one's not being scored. Who's going to break out in 2024? Who's that player that you're looking at and you're saying, yes, all the stars are going to align. Everything's going to work out perfectly for this guy, and he's going to absolutely crush his ADP this year. True breakout time for X player. So fill in the blank there. Who's that guy that's going to break out? Also, today I'm very excited. Right after this show, I got about a half-hour break in between. Right after this show, we are going to be recording the Fantasy Family Feud. So should be super fun to get in and do that today. All right, we've got Tyjae Spears. James, I'm with you, my homie. Absolutely. Jaden Daniels for Powerfold. A Moss 1611 says Pickens is going to break out this year. Unless Brandon Ayuk goes there, could maybe make it tricky. Chase says praying for Tyjae Spears. Absolutely. So let's go ahead. Let's get into our first question. J.K. Dobbins will bounce back and run for over 900 yards. I'd be very happy with that. I still have lots of J.K. Dobbins. The breakout looked like it was going to happen last year. First game, he already has 2 touchdowns. And or did he just get one? I think he might have ended up with just one, because then Gus Edwards ended up having 2. But either way, looked like it was going to happen, and then the terrible injury happened and broke my heart. All right, let's get our first question for trivia. Now, here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask that you do not answer in the chat until I call for it. So do not answer in the chat until I call for it, because I want to give enough time for everyone to get their answers in. There'll be a couple of them here that you'll have a chance to get multiple points on that question. All right. There's some that you'll have a chance to get multiple points on the question. This one is just a 1-pointer. Just a 1-pointer on this one. All right. So don't answer in the chat until I say, all right, give me your answers, because I want to give people enough time to think of it on their own. All right. So here we go. Question number 1 for our trivia day today. In 2018, This undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. Who was it? In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as running back 11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. So go ahead and get your answers in. We'll read it one more time here. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall on the season, which was his only appearance inside the top 24. Mr. Bakes-a-lot was good, man. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. All right. Now, I will, you know what? Go ahead. Give me your answers now. I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong until the end. All right. Now, don't be cheating and Googling. I'm not going to tell you till the end. But in 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. Go ahead and give your answers. I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong. We do have 3 for Philip Lindsay right now. And then also, while we're doing this, I will answer questions in between, so you don't have to wait. You can ask questions anytime. I'll get you in. Mr. Bakes-a-lot going with Eckler. 3 for Philip Lindsay, 1 for Austin Eckler. All right. Last, I'll read it one more time just for those still filing in. It's not even 12:10 yet. All right. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall on the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. KD going with Lindsay as well. We'll see. Keep track of your answers. All right. Question number 2. This running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. This running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. Caden also going with Philip Lindsay for the previous question. Country Time saying, happy Friday Eve, everyone. Sorry for all the Fields questions the last couple weeks, but finally dealt him. How'd I do? Fields and Eckler for Jacobs and a 25 fourth. 10 by 12 Superflex tight end premium is my roster now. I think you did pretty well. If it's a contending team, I think that's a good move. Rebuild, I think it would be middle of the road. But contending, I think that is a excellent move to try to help yourself win now. I still like Fields. I think he could be the quarterback of the future in Pittsburgh, but we will have to wait and see. All right, so for this question, this running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. So 5 total touchdowns there. 4 receiving, 1 rushing. Week 15 of 2013. Which running back was it? We have 2 votes for Mr. David Johnson. Question from before. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. We have DeMarco Murray guess. We have DJ. We have Jamal Charles, Lev Bell, another Jamal Charles. Yeah, go ahead and put your answers in the chat. I was going to make you guys wait, but just put them in the chat. We'll see how you do. You could cheat, but that's no fun. Don't cheat. Don't be that guy or girl. I'm sure we have some ladies watching as well. KD's going with Bell. I think Mixon was drafted in 14. Stevie says, as a contender, Jaden Reed is in my flex spot. Solid everywhere. Should I try to trade for a more steady veteran or roll with Reed as a contender this year? Reed might be a little bit more up and down than you like, but I think I would be a little hesitant if he was my 3, but him in the flex, I think that's pretty solid. Would you tear down from Mahomes to Dak plus, or do you think Dak would be too old? What about Burrow plus? 10-team PPR superflex, no superflex, so it's just a 1 QB. I would have no problem tearing down to Dak. That was actually a guy when we did our tear down episode earlier in the offseason. That was a potential target I looked at. I have Benson over Brooks. This is berserk. I have Benson over Brooks. Do I need to put the joints away, or are you okay with this? I have no problem with it. He's going to probably get some opportunity first just because of the injury anyway. I know he didn't look fantastic this week, but it's week 1. It takes some guys a little bit of time to catch up to everything. I think it'd be fine. Kamara's only 4 or 5 touchdown game in the playoffs was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a guy no longer in the league. Charles is my guess for Lavender Lo-Fi Pop. Oh, that's a fun name. Country Fries, how do you feel about this? Or how do you feel about Will Levis right now? Contending team, what would you try to move him for? If I could get a late first, I would be willing to move Levis. Yeah, I think that's what I would be willing to move him for. Stevie, appreciate you, buddy. 12-team super flex. Yeah, I assumed that. I shouldn't have assumed. So that worked out. Country time. Yeah, I think I would go with that deal for Jacobs. Eric says, quick question. I'm a contender. I have Hall, Gibbs, Spears, Javonte, and Zamir White as my running backs. Should I hold Zamir for depth or try to move him with picks for something better? No problem moving off a guy like Zamir White, even though I like him. Doesn't have a great profile overall. So if you're able to maybe upgrade at another position like tight end or wide receiver, I think you should have a decent amount of depth to be able to do that. Tesh, what's up, buddy? Good to have you. All right, the 2 questions we've had so far. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. And the second question was, this running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. Who was it? All right, here we go. Question number 3. And feel free to put the answers in the chat whenever you wish. Question number 3. This Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at his position over his career, but was never the wide receiver 1. Now, this would have had to have been from the year 2000 and to present day. So it's possible somebody else did it earlier than him, but this is from 2000 on. This Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at the position. 5 of them. That's a crazy amount. 5 top 3 finishes, but was never the wide receiver 1 overall. Who was it? Lavender Lo-Fi saying Megatron. Mr. Bakes a Lot saying Antonio Brown. Andre Johnson's the guest for Caden. Lavender Lo-Fi saying AB had 3 top number 1 finishes, I'm pretty sure. And Mr. Bakes a Lot said, oh, Hall of Famer, never mind. KD saying Ocho. We've got another Calvin Johnson guess here. This Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at his position over his career, but was never the wide receiver 1. All right, next one here. Amos saying Fitz along with Mr. Bakes a Lot. Eric going with Mr. Randy Moss. This Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes over his career at his position, but was never the wide receiver 1. Taylor going with A.J. Green. A.J. Green. The previous questions, number 1, in 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. Question 2, this running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. And then this most recent question, this Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at his position over his career, but was never the wide receiver 1. All right, question number 4. The only quarterback in the 2000s to have 3 straight quarterback 1 overall seasons. There's only one quarterback in the 2000s or beyond to have 3 straight quarterback 1 overall seasons. Name him. These are tough. These are not easy questions. Not easy questions. Only quarterback in the 2000s to have 3 straight quarterback 1 overall seasons. Powerful going with Julio for the wide receiver question there. We've got some guesses here. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Cam. Traded Troy Franklin for Blake Corum, and I'm so excited, Ryan. Fantastic move. Peyton, is this from your research on the top 100 Dynasty plays? This question is. Both of these questions came from this one. So 2 of these 10 questions did come from my research for the top 100 series. Milano just dude, that dude is always hurt. He cannot seem to stay healthy. I hate that for him. All right. The other questions, I know there's some of you guys that are new here. So if you want to get your answers down, in 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. Question 2, this running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. Question 3, this Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at his position over his career, but was never the wide receiver 1. And then question 4, the only quarterback in the 2000s to have 3 straight quarterback 1 overall seasons. 2000 and beyond. So to today, to present day. To present day. So yeah, we're going with the century, not the decade. Ryan, Caden saying, feels like a Tom Brady answer, but I'm going to go with Peyton Manning. KD saying Vic just to shake it up. I think I'll go Vic too, just hating on Manning here. Like I said, guys, these are some tough questions. These are not easy ones. These are not layups. This one might be the toughest one. This next one we've got here might be the most difficult. There's a lot of tricky ones. I did not make this easy. This is not 101. This is level 401 type stuff. All right, question number 5. Question number 5. Oh, we've got a Manning, a Roethlisberger. Okay. Question number 5. Since 2020, so it's only been 4 years. Since 2020, only 2 quarterbacks have had a season where they attempted double-digit 50-yard passes. So that's air yards. 50-yard passes. Name them. Since 2020, only 2 quarterbacks have had a season where they attempted double-digit 50-yard passes. This is 50 yards through the air. They attempted double-digit. Who are they? Only 2. Hint, they did in the same year. I don't know how that's going to help you, but they did. They did in the same year. Since 2020. Now, you could get 2 points for this. You get 1 for each one you guess correctly. So you could get 2 points here. Since 2020, only 2 quarterbacks have had a season where they attempted double-digit 50-yard passes, 50 or more. Name them. All right, we've got a lot of guesses coming in here. Herbert and Rodgers, Tua and Hurts, Stafford and Tua, Rodgers and Mahomes, Allen and Carr, and why is my mind going to Jameis Winston? I get it, man. I get it. That dude would slang it. Burrow and Rodgers for Mr. Bakes a lot. Is that the guy that got eye surgery? Did he? He might have. He might have got LASIK. Allen and Fields for Brandon. Allen and Fields. Brett, you're mean. Yes, he can throw 50 yards. He actually led the league one of the years in 50-yard throws. I'm not going to tell you if it's the year that is important, but he did. Jameis did get LASIK. Yes. Okay. Allen and Winston, Stafford and Mahomes. Got some good guesses out there. I'll give you guys a hint. You guys have said one of the players. One of the players has been mentioned. I'm not saying who mentioned it, but one of the players has been mentioned. One of the players has not been mentioned yet. One of the players has been mentioned. One has not. All right. Real quickly, I'm going to do a quick recap. These are all the questions we've done up to this point. We're at the midway point with question 5. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. Question 2, this running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. Question number 3, this Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at his position over his career, but was never the wide receiver 1 overall. Question number 4, the only quarterback in the 2000s, so we're talking century, not decade, in the 2000s to have 3 straight quarterback 1 overall seasons. And then this most recent question here, since 2020, only 2 quarterbacks have attempted a double-digit amount of 50-plus air yard passes. Name them. All right. Tua and Kyler. I bet the other one was Matthew Stafford. I remember Jameis's rookie season, we're hearing the nickname Jameis Winston. I forgot about that. That's funny. All right. Katie said he's going with Stafford and Dak. Stafford and Dak. All right. We'll see. We'll see. No, the number 1 wide receiver. So he was a top 3 finisher. So that means he was either wide receiver 2 or 3, 5 times. But he was never the number 1 overall. All right, number 6. Number 6. Only one player has had a season where they had 70 or more red zone rushing attempts. Only one player has had a season with 70 or more red zone rushing attempts in a single season since 2017. Who was it? Who was it? Eric saying Allen, and Rich's favorite, Russell Wilson. All right. So only one player has had a season with over 70 rushing attempts since 2017. Only one player has had a season with over 70 red zone rushing attempts in a single season since 2017. Who was it? Only one player has had a season with over 70 red zone rushing attempts. Who was it? Since 2017. Marshawn Lynch, Nick Chubb. Has to be Hurts or Lamar, right? Powerfold saying Hurts. Brett saying Derrick Henry. It does not have to be a running back, but it is a running back. So I'll help you guys out. I'll give you a hint. It is a running back. 70 is a lot. 70 is a lot. Like I said, only one player has had more than 70 since 2017. Was that the LeGarrette Blount insane year in 17 or 16? Henry, Blount. All right, we'll see. There was only one player to have 70 red zone. So that's inside the 20. Only one player has done that since 2017. Who was it? Funny part is, there's only one player with over 70, and he had 87. 87 that season. Bonkers. Bonkers, bonkers. 87. All right. Once again, you guys are welcome to ask questions as we're going through. You don't only have to answer. You get to ask questions too. I'm asking questions. You're asking questions. We can all ask questions. All right. Last one. Last time I'll read this one before we move on. Only one player has had over 70 red zone rushing attempts in a single season since 2017. Who was it? All right. Question number 7. All right. Only 5 running backs have ever had, and this is ever, only 5 running backs have ever had over 100 receptions in a single season. Name as many as you can. Only 5 running backs have ever had over 100 receptions in a season. Name as many as you can. Slight hint, one of these players has done it twice, actually. So there were 6 seasons with it, but only 5 players. Only 5 running backs have ever had over 100 receptions in a season. Name as many as you can. So you will get a point for every single one you get correct. Is Dyami Brown on your radar with the negative Dotson/LMC camp reports? Absolutely. I'm really curious who the wide receiver 2 there is going to be. If anything, though, this boosts my deep stash love for Ben Sinnott or Ben Sinnott, if you're nasty. That would be the guy that I would be targeting the most for a stash. My guess is the wide receiver 2 is not currently on this team long term. That would be my guess. But we'll see. Do the nerds do rookie only rankings? If so, I can't seem to find them. You can filter them to be rookie only, I believe. You should be able to filter them to be rookie only. CMC, LT, Eckler. So Steve getting 3 guesses in there. CMC, LT, and Eckler. Taylor going with CMC, Kamara, Jamal Charles, Chris Johnson, and Marshall Falk. Drop the mic FF saying, what's up, Garrett? Late, but finally made it. It's good to see you, buddy. It was good to see you this past weekend at the Expo. Mr. Bakes a lot. LaDainian Tomlinson, David Johnson, Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, and David Sproles. I will also count Darren Sproles. Brett saying Tomlinson, Falk, CMC, and Woodhead. Caden going with CMC, Eckler, Tomlinson are the obvious ones. CMC, White, Falk, and Eckler for power fold. Brandon saying Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, David Johnson, CMC, and LT. KD saying McCoy, Sproles, Bell, CMC, David Johnson, CMC, Bell, Eckler, Jamal Charles, and Chris Johnson. I feel like 4 of these are very, I shouldn't say very obvious, but obvious names. There's one that if you guys get the 5th one, I would be shocked if anyone gets the 5th one. 3 of them are like huge, huge names. One of them I think people should get. And then the last one, yeah. Very, very surprising name. Caden saying, wait, Matt Forte. Throwing Matt Forte into the fold here. So let me read the question again. Only 5 running backs have ever had over 100 receptions in a season. Name as many as you can. Brett saying, is it an Arizona Cardinal? I forget his name in the 90s. Ooh. I'm not saying nothing. If you know this name, that would be really impressive. All right, let's go to question 8. Question number 8 here. Eric saying Jerome Bettis for sure, number 5, without a doubt. All right. Here we go. Question number what are we at? 8. Which tight end had the most targets in 2023? So this past year, which tight end had the most targets on the season? So a lot of these were going back, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. This one, this past season, which tight end had the most targets in 2023? 2 guesses for Evan Ingram, who had the most targets in 2023. We got three straight for Ingram. Caden saying Evan Ingram, I think he had like 160. All right, everybody's all aboard the Ingram train. All aboard the Ingram train. Chris is going to go with Laporta. Moss going Ingram. Brett going Ingram. Everybody's all in on Ingram. Wouldn't that be funny if it was incorrect? McBride for Mr. Bakes a Lot. All right. Recapping a lot of the other questions here. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall in the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. This is a chance to get you caught up if you're behind. This running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in Week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. Number 3, this Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at the position over his career, but was never the wide receiver 1 overall. Number 4, only quarterback in the 2000s, so that's the year 2000 through today, to have 3 straight QB1 overall seasons. Number 5, since 2020, only 2 QBs have had a season where they attempted 50 or more, let me read that again. Since 2020, only 2 quarterbacks have had a season where they attempted double-digit 50 or more air yard passes. Name them. The only player with over 70 red zone rushing attempts in a single season since 2017. It's a running back as well. Number 7, only 5 running backs have ever had over 100 receptions in a season. Name as many as you can. And then number 8, which tight end had the most targets in 2023? All right, number 9. In 2013, this wide receiver, which was a former Division III player, tied with Andre Johnson for the most targets at wide receiver in the league. In 2013, this wide receiver, which was a former Division III player, tied Andre Johnson for the most targets in the league. In 2013, this wide receiver, which was a former Division III player, tied Andre Johnson for the most targets in the league. Sugar Dunkerton, that's a great name. What do you think is a fair cross-positional trade for Jaden Reed? I.e., what running back or tight end would you want for Reed? Tight end's a tricky one because I feel like there's nobody in the right range for him. Like I'd want something more than Njoku or Ferguson, but I don't think you're going to be able to get into the Andrews, McBride, Bowers range. So tight end would be a tricky one, a 1-for-1. Now running back, I think you could get that done. Running back, let me pull up my rankings here. As you guys are thinking about this 2013 wide receiver was a former Division III player. He tied Andre Johnson for the most targets in the league that season. Which receiver was it? All right, let me grab my rankings. Because I know who I want, but I don't know who I want. Is that fair? All right. So at a guy that I would be looking to target, I'd probably be looking at Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Kenneth Walker. Like that type of range is probably the range I'd be looking at for Jaden Reed. So Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Kenneth Walker are the guys that I'm doing. If I have to drop down a tier into the DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, like if I have to drop into that tier, I want something else on top. All right. So we have a Josh Gordon guess, a Julian Edelman guess, Marquise Colston guess, Antonio Brown, maybe Welker. Eric says, my brain hurts and I can't think back that far. The answer to this one is crazy. Never in a million years would I come up with this. It's a fun one. Give me Welker. Walker went to Tech. Edelman is a great guess. Oh, dang, good call. Probably Benson plus for Reed right now. Dotson or Dobbs. Who would I rather have, Dotson or Dobbs? Probably Dotson, because there's at least a chance he's the number 2. I don't think there's a real chance for Dobbs to be the number 2. Yeah. Fitzy, says Chris Evans. All right, last one I'm going to say. In 2013, this former Division III wide receiver tied Andre Johnson for the most targets in the league. All right, last question. Last question here. Only three players have had over 70 100 rushing yard games over their career. Name them. Only 3 players have had over 70 100-yard rushing games over their career. Name them. So you can get a point for each one here. Just like in question 7 and just like in question 5 where you could get multiple, you can get multiple on this one. Gerard saying expectations for DJ Moore in 2024. I think they have to dip a tiny bit where he was, I believe, wide receiver 6 last year. They've got to dip a little bit this year just because there's so many more mouths to feed, but I wouldn't let them fall too far. I still think he's going to be a high-end running back or wide receiver 2. High-end wide receiver 2. So only 3 players, and this is overall time, only 3 players have over 70 100 rushing yard games over their career. Name them. Taylor said we have a DJ Moore article coming out tomorrow. Woo! If you guys don't know, Taylor is our editor over at dynastynerds.com. So if anybody would know, it would be him. Taylor guessing Henry, Falk, and LaDainian Tomlinson. Steve saying LT, Henry, and CJ2K. Chris Evans saying Emmett and Barry for sure. Emmett and Barry for sure. And he's going to go with LT as his other one. Only 3 players have over 70 100 rushing yard games for their career. Name as many as you can. Tomlinson, Dickerson, and Henry for Amos. Brandon going with AP, Henry, and LT. Eric going with Curtis Martin, Adrian Peterson, and Nick Chubb. Only 3 players have over 70 100-yard rushing games for their career. Name them. All right, we're going to go back to the beginning. I will pause between asking the question and giving my answer, or giving the answer. It's not mine. It's what happened. Giving the answer. So that way you guys have a chance to answer. If you're just now coming in, didn't get a chance to answer all of this. All right. Caden saying, no way any 21st century running back did this. Mr. Bakeslot saying Bo Jackson, Derrick Henry, and LT. Donovan says AP has to be one, right? Powerfold saying Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and Jim Brown. Shot in the dark. Brendan, what's up, buddy? Good to have you here. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Give you some time to answer. in case you're just now joining us. Keep track of your points. Some of these you can get multiple points if there's multiple answers. All right. Question number one. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall on the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. In 2018, this undrafted running back finished as RB11 overall on the season, which was his only appearance in the top 24. If you want to post your answer again in the chat, you can. You don't have to. Obviously, you answered earlier or you kept track at home. That is fine. How do you feel? How do you deal with managers that offer you very one-sided deals? I was offered Aaron Rodgers straight up for Spears in a Superflex league earlier this year. I just rejected it with no response. Yeah, James, that's typically what I do if we're that far apart, or I'll offer them some absurd trade back if I think it's a really bad trade. But that's a little petty. I try not to do that. Brendan saying Mike Anderson for this question. So the correct answer, I didn't see anyone post the correct answer for this. There was a lot of Philip Lindsay guesses for this one, which was not correct. Tough, though. He finished just outside the top 12. But in 2018, the player that did this, Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen, RB11 overall in 2018. That was his only appearance inside the top 24. So I didn't see. Now, maybe you were at home and you marked it down on your paper or, put it in your phone, whatever. But Tariq Cohen. Yeah, just retired. Fun little career he had there. Brandon saying, would you rather take a shot at Carson Steele or Imani Bailey? Probably Steele. But yeah, this one, you follow the news on this one. If there's anybody getting any buzz or love that is an undrafted guy, that's the guy you go over versus a player that hasn't gotten much at all. Yeah, I didn't see anybody get this one. Now I saw a decent amount of people get number 2 right. So this running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. All right, give you guys a little bit to fill it in if you need to. This running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. Who was it? All right, the answer for number 2, this running back had 4 receiving and 1 rushing touchdown in week 15 of 2013 to boost his fantasy managers in the playoffs. Jamal Charles. I saw a decent amount of people get that one. A decent amount. Not everybody. Decent amount. Now for these next two, I don't know that I saw anybody get the next 2 right. I don't think I did. Well, Haas saying, would you trade ETN for Olave straight up? I'm not the biggest Olave guy. I think it's good value, and I understand it, but it would only be if I had plenty of running backs, because I feel like you can find a lot of Olave caliber type receivers. There's just only so many running backs that are going to get that type of workload to go around. So it would be very situation dependent. I think it's a fair deal, though. But I would lean ETN, but it's a fair deal. All right. Number 3 here. This Hall of Fame receiver had 5 top 3 finishes at his position, but never was the wide receiver 1. 5 top 3 finishes at his position, but was never the wide receiver 1. Who was it? Now, this was from the year 2000 on. This one was. 5 top 3 finishes, but never the number 1 overall guy. All right, here's your answer. 5 top 3 finishes, never wide receiver 1. Terrell Owens. He had 5, which is absurd. An absurd number. But I don't think I saw any guesses. I saw some for Fitz. I saw some for Antonio Brown, Megatron. Don't think I saw any T.O. I think I saw Randy Moss. No TO guesses. Yeah, he was a monster over his career, but never quite got over the hump to be the number 1 overall wide receiver at his position. All right, here we go. Number 4. Number 4. Katie saying, dang, I was between him and Ocho. That's a tough one. It's a tough one. All right. Number 4, the only quarterback in the year 2000 till today, so in the 2000s, that had 3 straight quarterback 1 overall seasons. Another one that nobody got, which I thought somebody was going to get this one. I really did. Former Madden cover boy, Dante Culpepper. Dante Culpepper. Only quarterback in the 2000s that had 3 straight quarterback 1 overall seasons. Dante Culpepper was the only one to do it in the 2000s. We had some guys get close. Honestly, closest was very, very recent in Josh Allen. Josh Allen did it in 3 of 4 seasons, but he did not do it in 3 straight seasons. So the only one to do it, we had Aaron Rodgers do it in 2 out of 3. He had 4 number 1 overall finishes. Peyton Manning, if we would have done top 3, he was a top 3 guy from 2002 through 2007, so 5 years at that, or actually 6 seasons. But yeah, Dante Culpepper, only one to do it 3 straight years. Dante Culpepper, the only one to do it 3 straight years. Taylor said, with 100 guesses, I would not have gotten that one. It's a tough one. I said these aren't easy. All right, since the year 2000, only 2 QBs have had a season where they attempted double-digit air yards passes over 50 yards. Name them. Only 2 players since 2020 have had double-digit attempts of 50 yards or more in a single season. Name them. So who's slanging that thing? Who's slinging it deep? Man, sorry. Keep clearing my throat. I'm having issues today. Ran out of water. All right. The answer to number 5, since 2020, only 2 quarterbacks have had a season where they attempted double-digit 50 or more air yard passes. Those 2 players, Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford. I saw people get Stafford. I don't think anyone said Joe Burrow, which was a little surprising to me. They both did that in 2021. Then they face each other in the playoffs. So, or in the Super Bowl. So the key to going to the Super Bowl, kids, is throw deep passes. Done and done. Analysis. All right, number 6. Number 6. Only one player has had over 70 red zone rushing attempts in a single season since 2017. Who was it? Brendan saying, how long do you put into getting these numbers, LOL? Where are these old rankings and random stats for us to make these into drinking games for our league mates? You know what? Maybe I should. Maybe I should put together a random fantasy draft questions. But yeah, I not as much time as you would think. Probably took me half hour, 45 minutes or so to put these together. Wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. So Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow was the last answer. The only player with over 70 red zone rushing attempts in a single season since 2017, Jonathan Taylor in 2021 had 87. 87. 87 rushing attempts inside the red zone in 2021. No wonder he was the running back 1. The dude was getting fed the rock near the goal line. Dude had a monster season, running back 1 overall. Jonathan Taylor, 87 red zone rushing attempt. Aloha says, I am ashamed of myself as a Colts fan. I'm sorry, my man. I'm sorry. It's a tough one. Brett said he's frustrated. He would have never guessed it. All right, number 7. Number 7. Only 5 running backs have ever had over 100 receptions in a season. Name as many as you can. So you could have gotten up to 5 points on this one. So this was an important one. Only 5 running backs have ever had over 100 receptions in a season. Name as many as you can. Only 5. Now, one guy did it twice. Most people got the most obvious one, CMC. He has the most in a single season with, I believe it was 119. It's either 119 or 117. But he had the most. Then Austin Eckler. Then LT. A lot of people got that one. So Austin Eckler, LT, CMC. Feel like a good amount of you guys got those 3. There was only one person that I saw got this one, Matt Forte. Matt Forte had a 100-yard reception season. So he was a beast for fantasy. Then last but not least, running back of the Arizona Cardinals, Brett mentioned it. Couldn't remember the name, but it was in 1995. Arizona Cardinals running back Larry Centers. Larry Centers I've never even heard that name. Never even heard that name, let alone be able to guess him as a possible guy for this. So the fact that you even knew it was a 90s Cardinals receiver, that was pretty impressive, my man. That was, never even heard the name. All right, number 8. This was the most commonly correct answered question. Evan Ingram did lead the league in targets last year. Evan Ingram did lead the league in targets last year. So about 80 or so % of you guys got that one right. Yes, Evan Ingram led the league in targets at the tight end position last year. I don't think I saw anyone get this right. Number 9. I'll give you guys a little bit in case somebody wants to try to get this one. Number 9 here. In 2013, this wide receiver, which was a former Division III player, tied Andre Johnson for most targets in the league. In 2013, this wide receiver, who was a former Division III player, tied Andre Johnson for most targets in the league. Give you guys a little bit to think on that one. Division III wide receiver tied for league in targets. All right, answer, Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon, 181 targets, tied for the league lead. 181, that's a crazy amount. 11.3 a game. Pierre Garçon tied for the league lead in targets in 2013 with Andre Johnson. Katie saying, to TJ, who's your mama? Mr. Bakes a lot saying Doug Baldwin. Nope, neither one of those guys. Pierre Garçon in 2013 tied for league lead in targets. All right, last one here. Only 3 players have ever had over 70 or more 100-yard rushing games in their career. Name them. Only 3 players have had over 70 100-yard rushing games over their career. Tristan, you did, my man. You missed trivia. There was no college ones, although there was one where we referenced where they went to college, if that helps. And actually, you and I talked about him this weekend. Pierre Garçon. Only 3 players have over 70 100-yard rushing games in their career. Name them. Only 3. It's Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, which I don't think anyone said Walter Payton. Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, and Barry Sanders. Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, and Barry Sanders. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Dynasty Lunch Break. As always, I appreciate you guys. Love hanging out with you. Love having time to spend together. Real quickly, before I bounce, who got the most right? Who got the most points, I should say, most points? because question number 5, you could get 2 points. Question 7, you could get up to 5, and you could get 3 points on question 10. So who got the most points? Who got the most points? Did anybody get over like 7 or 8? Anybody get over 7 or 8 points? Katie saying, enjoyed the trivia. Appreciate it. Berserk, appreciate you too, my man. Caden said, got all 3 of those last ones. Got all 3. Brandon saying, only 5 for me. Hey, these were not easy. Tristan, you can go back. You can go back and do all the questions. See how you do. Although you heard the answers to the last 3. Lavender Lo-Fi saying got 6. Caden got 7. 7 seems to be the leader right now. 7 seems to be the leader right now. This was not an easy quiz. So appreciate you guys. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. We will be back here next Thursday. Maybe even some more Dynasty lunch breaks coming up in the future. We will see. Appreciate you guys. See you next week.